Hi, welcome.
Hi, Shawnee. How are you?
I am well. How are you? It's good to see
Good.
you, Linda.
Good to see you. Yeah, here we go. Now you can see me better.
There. Yay. How have you been?
I'm good. I thought I would tune in and realized I should have gotten up to this point, but I was going to watch you bind off.
Oh, sure. Maybe there'll be a few that you can pick from.
Yeah, and I think while you're waiting, I'll see if I can't catch up real quick.
Oh, okay. Carol Pearson, I'm so happy to see you. All right.
Okay, maybe.
I have put my phone on so I get no notices, but you'll notice that I've gotten 4 notices while we've been here. So I'm not quite sure why, but that'll be okay. Let's see. I want to see if I can, let's see. I can't. I don't know how to get rid of that. Oh, well. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. Hi, welcome. It's good to have you back.
Hello.
Hey. Okay, so we're going to go over 5 different bind offs today, and let's see if I've got enough light. All right, and typically, you know, when you bind in the old, you know, long time ago, you had one way to bind off, and that was to knit one, knit another one, and pull it over, right? And so if you used the same size needle, sometimes it was too tight. A lot of times it was too tight. So the things that we're going to go over today are on the most part a little bit looser than your basic bind off. And you'll notice on this one, it's Icelandic. In the original lesson plan, I was going to do this super stretchy. Oh, look who's here. He's here. This is Martha. She surprised us. Hey. So we're not going to do the super stretchy bind off because I think that uses too much yarn. And I've discovered the Icelandic bind off, and it's just so much better. Okay. All right. So let's get started. Okay, the first thing we're going to do, and I will tell you, on my regular store page, there's a thing called free patterns. And what I've been doing after all these Zoom classes, I've been posting my notes. So you'll be able to get my notes with the specific instructions on how to do these. Okay, so I hope that helps you out. All right, so the first 10, and I've just got these all grouped together so you can see exactly what I did. So when we're done, you can look at the differences, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do is to purl 2 together. And I know that, you know, typically we knit, but by purling, you give yourself a little bit more yarn to make the stitch so it's a little stretchier. So I'm going to purl 2 together. Right. And when I take it off, notice I'm going to put it right back on. Okay. And I'm going to tighten it up, not tight, but to where it's normal. And I'm going to purl it together. I take it off. And notice I'm just going to put it back on the needle. So when Martha told us this, this was a few years ago, I thought, well, that's genius. To me, it's so much easier than pulling things over and I really like the look of it too. So we're going to put this back on, and keep in mind we're purling. The next 10, we're going to knit 2 together so you can see the difference. See, I purled 2, I put it back on. Notice I didn't twist it any. I just put it directly back on just the way it looked at the needle. Okay, put it back on, almost to the end. Thank y'all for popping in. All right, here's my last 2. And then we'll take a look at it, and you can see just how, oh, that's not right. Just how stretchy it is. And on all of these, I'm using the exact same needle that I cast on with. So you'll notice, look, when you see it, do you see how all of the chains are on that side? So this is something that's important to know. If you're going to cast off and you're going to use this method of purl, do you want this to, see, look how perfect. You can't tell you've done anything right there. If this is your right side, it looks exactly like it would have. So if you use the regular bind off, it would have shown. But by purling 2 together on the right side, that's the inside, but this is what's going to show. So think about that on an edge of a sweater or something. That's beautiful. And notice, look, it stretches. Not a ton, but it stretches. Okay, so now I'm going to move this stitch marker over, and I'm going to put it right here so we know exactly where we ended. Now I'm going to put this on top. Oop, I'm going to put the yarn in the back though. Uh-oh, there goes my camera. All right. All right, so now we're going to knit 2 together. And it's just like the purl 2 together, and we put it on the other side. Well, now we're knitting 2 together and putting it back on the left needle, okay? So knitting 2 together. And see how I'm putting it on? I'm not twisting the stitch, I'm just putting it back on. Knit 2 together. Put it back on. Knit 2 together. Can you see where this might save you time? Everybody's so quiet. All right. You can. And again, I'm sorry if I have notices that come up. I tried to tell my phone to get rid of the notices, but for some reason they're still popping up. All right, I'm almost to the end, and I'm kind of excited that we did it both ways right together so you can compare. What? A new Patricia Cornwell book's in. Okay. Okay, I don't know about you, but I'm at the end of mine. And so now we're going to compare the knit 2s together to the purl 2s together. Okay, so here's purl 2 together, and I'm just assuming this is the right side, okay? Uh-oh. And so there's the V on the back. Now here are the knit 2s together. So it's more, I will tell you, it's not as stretchy. Not at all. This is very stretchy. And remember I said when you create a purl, because you're taking the yarn all the way over the needle, you're giving yourself extra yarn, okay? So this is a much more finished product than the knit two together. And it's much tighter, but I like it. Okay, so let me take this one off. I'm going to put the stitch marker on. And now we're moving to the Icelandic Bind Off. You doing okay? Okay.
Yes.
So I must have put that through the stitch. I can't pull that tight. Ooh, there goes my, okay. All right, so with the Icelandic bind off, I'm just gonna pretend this is the very first stitch instead of having it come from this one, okay? We're gonna knit it, just like regular. And then when we knit it, we have to transfer it back onto the left needle. You know how I was putting them on like this? We're gonna put it on, watch how I'm doing this. I'm putting it on with the needle coming from the other direction. All right, and what that does is it kind of untwists it. Okay, so I've knit it, I put it back on, and now I'm going to stick the needle under here, and this is the weirdest thing, but I'm going to knit this stitch right here. So what I do is I stick my needle underneath and I knit it, and I pull it off. Okay, so what happens, I'm going to do it, 10 more times, but what happens with the Icelandic Bind Off is it creates a rolled, almost like a half rolled hem, and it also gives you a stretchy bind off. So we're going to do it again. And remember, I don't just put it on this way, I put it on from the back like this. Okay, I stick the right hand needle through that slip stitch, and I grab hold of this one and knit it. See how I pull it up through there? And I just knit it like always. And when I knit it, I pull everything off. Okay, here we go again. I'm going to go from the back. Look, now they're kind of pointing the same direction, right? I take it off. And now to knit that, I stick it in from here. Okay, I grab that stitch just like I'm going to knit it, and I am. And I stick it, see there? Look at that. I stick it through the back, I knit it, I pull it through, and I pull it off. Are y'all getting that on your end? Because I know, kind of gave y'all a little bit of homework to have it all cast on. So let's see how you're doing. Everybody good? Okay, we just added one more person. Uh-oh, and my phone just went black. Okay, here we go again. So, hi Liz.
Hi, Shelley.
Well, somebody asked, we're in the Icelandic Bind Off. So
Okay, I'm just watching today, not actually.
That's okay. That's awesome. All right, so we're going to go underneath the back stitch, and I slip it over. I stick the needle through. I pull that up just like that, and I knit it. So let me get, sorry about that, everybody. So do you see how all of that looks? Okay, we're going to do it again. I pick it up, I stick it through, I grab that stitch, knit it, pull it off. Okay, y'all, I'm going to do the next 5. Are y'all doing okay? on your end?
I'm doing good.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna finish these up. And then we're gonna take a look at it and compare it to the other ones. I think you're really gonna like it. And then the next one that we're gonna compare, I think you'll see that it's quite a bit like it, but it's a little bit more fiddly and it's a little bit more precise actually, as far as if you want a rolled hem or a rolled edge. All right, I've got one, well, just a second. I dropped it. I've got one more to do maybe, yeah. Pull that up. Go through. Knit it. And let's say that we were at the end of our piece. What we would do would be break the yarn and pull it through that loop. But because I've got more to do, I'm just going to leave it. All right, so let's take a look. And remember, we're looking at the front of our work. I'm binding off on the front side. This was purl 2 together. This was knit 2 together. And that wasn't too stretchy. This one was real stretchy. Now here's the Icelandic Stretchy Bind Off. This is very stretchy to the point where I think that I could probably use that on a sock if I wanted. I probably wouldn't use the I-cord bind off for a sock because my sock, you know, it just wouldn't be right. But the sewn bind off at the end might be an option for us though, okay? So this is the Icelandic Bind Off. Do you see how, look how pretty it is? And on, let's see, I'm hearing something. On this side, that's, oh yeah, I know, I can hear it, but I don't know whose it is. Okay, so I think this mimics this one quite well. All right, so let's do the I-cord. And I'm going to move my stitch marker because I want to be able to see everything. I'm going to move my stitch marker here. Okay. So to start the I-cord, we're going to do a three needle I-cord. And if you've never knit an I-cord before, you basically put 3 to 4 stitches or more, you know, it all depends on the pattern, but you put 3 stitches on, you keep shoving them to the right, and then that yarn comes across and it makes a tube. It makes a cylindrical tube. So what we're going to be doing here with the I-cord bind off is to make a tube. There's going to be a tube as your bind off. So I have to cast on 3 stitches, and I'm going to use the, uh-oh, we're all good. I shouldn't have messed with it. We're going to use the backward loop cast on. So there's 1. Watch how I'm doing it. 2. And then this is the last one. 3. Okay. So now what I'll do, there are a few steps. And like I said, I'll have them on that paper. We're going to knit the first 2. 1, 2. Now watch this. You know how you typically slip as if to purl? We're going to slip as if to knit. So I slip that stitch off. Do you see how I just pulled it off? I knit the next stitch, and then I pull the slip stitch over. Okay? So now I have 3 stitches here and I've got it set up. Now I transfer them over, and keep in mind, this is not a fast kind of bind off, but let me tell you, if you have a shawl that has a really long stretch and you want it just to have an extra special look to it, this is the one to use. I really like it. We don't have to add any more, but we're going to knit those 2 stitches, slip this one, and then knit this one and slip it over. So when you look at my stitches, do you see how where the working yarn is coming from this stitch? That means it's pulling these 2 together. All these stitches will be pulled together. So here we go. We knit 2, 1, 2. I slip the stitch as if to knit, and then I knit the next one. Well, by doing this, you really need to tuck it up, pull the stitch over, and now you're ready to go to put them back on the other side. By tucking up that stitch, you are pulling the I-cord together. All right, so here we go. 1, 2, slip as if to knit, knit the next one, pull the slip stitch over, and I'm going to tug it up because I want my I-cord to be tucked in. I put them all over and I repeat. So 1, 2, slip, nope, I did it wrong. Slip as if to knit, knit 1, and pull that over. Now I'm going to pull these over. I'm hoping if you're doing this with me, you are seeing that beautiful I-cord start to form. 1, 2, slip as if to knit, knit 1, slip over, and then I'm going to transfer them to the other needle. 1, 2, 3. All right, I don't have that many more to go, but I wanted y'all to see how it's looking. You see how nice all of the V's are looking? And then look, even on the back, it is a solid edge. They're basically the 3 stitches. Here's the first stitch. Here's the second stitch. And then here on the back is the 3rd stitch. So it just creates this beautiful, beautiful edge. And then I know this one. How are we doing? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to knit 1, knit 2, slip as if to knit, knit 1, and then I slip that one over and I put them back over. And again, if you're in a hurry, this probably isn't the one you want to use, but if you want just a crazy beautiful edge on something, that's the one to use. I would use that on the edge of a sweater. I'd use that on the edge of a shawl or a scarf. I have a customer right now who's knitting a poncho, and part of her look is that she's putting an I-cord around the entire piece just to have that look. All right, put it over.
Question on that. Is she doing is she applying all of it afterwards, or is she doing that kind of I-cord edging where you incorporate it as you knit each row?
She's doing it as she goes on the edges, and then when she binds off, she will bind off an I-cord.
Gotcha.
So she will have it all, she just doesn't have it on one edge because she wants to put fringe there. And she doesn't want to hang the fringe over the I-cord.
Right. Okay.
Okay. And then what's really cool, we're seaming it up. Listen to me, we're seaming it up, but we're doing it deep enough so those I-cords poke up and they become part of the design. So it really looks exceptional. Okay, I am to the end. It's gonna look a little funny. Let's see, I'm gonna try to get rid of these here on the end. I'm gonna, for the sake of moving to the next section, I need to get rid of these stitches so I just have one. So if you'll excuse me, but we'll be able to see what it looks like. Okay. Let me put a stitch marker there so we can see the end. Okay, so I always like to, let's compare again. So we've got the purl two together on the right side. You can't even tell where you bound off. The knit two together, I don't know. I don't know where I would use it because it's pretty, it's consistent. But it's on the little tight side. The Icelandic Bind Off, you can't even tell that we've bound off. It looks the exact same on this side since it's the right side, and look, it's stretchy. The I-cord bind off is a true finishing technique. That is a real I-cord that's sitting on top of your work. So it's for a specific purpose, okay? All right. Now the last thing that we're going to do is a sewn bind off. And what we typically do, we cut the yarn at least 3 times the length of what we're going to bind off, because we're taking into consideration how much yarn we're going to use as we take it off, okay? So are y'all familiar with Elizabeth Zimmerman? Elizabeth Zimmerman is this guru of knitting from way, way back. She has long since passed, and her grandchildren are actually taking care of her empire, her knitting empire. And so we attribute the Sewn Bind Off to Elizabeth Zimmerman. So what I do, I've got the yarn, okay, and it's in a tapestry needle, and I'm gonna hold it pretty close so you can see what I'm doing. I go through 2 stitches, just like that, and be careful, don't stick your needle through the yarn, just through the stitches. We're gonna pull it through like this, all right? Oop. And then I'm going to take my needle, I'm going to go through the first, and look, I'm going the opposite direction. And when I do, I take it off. Okay. All right. And this one is perfect for anything you want to do. It's going to be nice and tidy and stretchy. It's not going to give you too much of any fabric, you know, to mess up. Like you won't be, you don't have to be concerned about ruffling, okay? All right, so let's get rid of that. Stick this in here. So it's left 2, right 1, and we take that off. Okay, left 2, and notice I'm not pulling it tight. but I'm not leaving anything out there, okay? Left 2, and only through the stitch, not through the yarn, because if you do that, it's going to be really hard for you to get that yarn through, okay? And then right and off. And right off. I'm just going to do a few more. I don't know why I ended up with so many, but that's okay. All right. Right 2. Left 2, right off. Left 2. And right off. And then we're going to take a look at what we did. Okay. How's everybody doing with that? Okay. So when you take a look at this, this stretches quite a bit. So if you wanted to put this at the top of a sock, it's going to be quite lovely. I'm going to show you the Super Stretchy Bind Off. Y'all don't have to do it with me, but I feel like I've neglected to give you everything because I fell in love with the Icelandic Bind Off. But when you look at the Icelandic Bind Off, it is such a beautiful and concise piece. And I bound off a pair of socks the other day, and I used the Super Stretchy Bind Off. And I decided that there was just too much yarn. It looked odd. So I'm going to show you how we do this. It's just like the regular kind where you knit 1, you leave it over here, but see, I'm going to do a yarn over. Then I knit the next one. So now you've got 2 pieces over here. Oh my gosh, all these spam phone calls. I've got to pull it over this. See how I pulled the yarn over? And now I pull the first stitch over. That yarn over acts as extra fiber in order to provide the stretch. So I do the yarn over, I knit 1, I pass the yarn over first, and then the stitch. And you could grab both of them, but if I did that on Zoom, I'd have a big old mess. So better that I just do one at a time. I bring the yarn over, and then I bring the working stitch. All right, I'm going to do one more, and then we're going to take a look at it. Okay, let's take a look. All right, my Sewn Bind Off stopped here, and this is the Super Stretchy. So do you see how it kind of has a little hole right there? This is the yarn over. Oh, this is the yarn over thread, and this is the regular stitch. So you can see with the whiteboard behind it, you can kind of see how there's a little hole, right? It has a beautiful V on the top, and this is the back side. But it's nice and stretchy, okay? All right, y'all have just been so quiet, and I've just moved along, and I feel bad if I've gone too fast, but I did want y'all to be able to have enough different bind offs that you could compare. And maybe some aren't for you, and that's okay, but you don't have to stick with the tried and true knit 1, knit the second, pull it over, okay?
Shawnee,
Yeah.
I'm noticing that you're recording. Is there a place where we can go to watch the recording again?
Actually, as soon as they send me an email, I put it on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
All
And
right.
is your YouTube channel under the Knitting Cup?
It is.
Okay.
It is. And then if you look at the videos, I'll have it labeled as bind offs.
Okay.
All right. And I would have loved to have done it on my iPad, but I don't know. The technology is just way too much for my head.
Well, this works good on my end.
Good. Well, this way I can, I can get pretty close to my phone.
You gotta wait.
Unfortunately, because of this bar, I hit it, and for that I apologize. But yeah, I think my favorite is the Purl Two Together and the Icelandic. But if I was making a garment, I think I would probably use the I-cord. And there's also a Pico Bind Off, and that's fine. I love Pico Bind Off, and that's where, you know, you have the little picos at the top, but you have to cast on like 2 stitches every, whatever the pattern says, and then you have to bind those off. It's not hard, but it gives it another different kind of look. Like sometimes people love that the hitchhiker scarf, and in order to match the steps of the hitchhiker, then you can put picos across the top, and that's really pretty. So maybe I'll add that to, let's see. Let's see. All right, my phone. There we go. Here we go. Let's see. Let's do a Pico. Oh, I'm out of yarn. I'm out of yarn. Okay, so if I cast on, wait, I'm gonna put it over here. I'm gonna put it over here. If I cast on 2 stitches and I bind those off, I don't think this is gonna work, but we'll try. Can you pull that over? I'll have to post another one. I don't have enough yarn. I don't have enough yarn to do that one. I cut it too short. But yeah, Pico is nice. Okay, anybody else?
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being so patient with me, and I hope you learned something new.
I did.
Good, good.
See you
Hi,
later.
Liz.
Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all. You have a great day,
Bye.
and I'll have it up probably tomorrow.
Okay, thanks a
All
lot.
right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, Lois.
Bye-bye.
You doing okay? Okay. All right.
I was watching a Zoom podcast,
Right.
listening to Shawnee.
There we go. And bye-bye.